The Tarkov ecosystem is a vibrant landscape that hosts many different organisms. Some are newcomers, and others have been here very near to the beginning. That being said, Tarkov is not a static ecosystem. Change brought by shifts in climate, habitat, and resource availability is constant. Subsequently, the prosperity of Tarkov's different species changes, with some adapting well and others beginning to decline. When referring to a species as endangered, we mean that it was once a larger population that has sharply or consistently declined to a fraction of its former numbers. Some organisms are not counted, as they have always had lower population numbers, for example, the rare 338 Mjolnir specimens. A more difficult group to classify are the newcomers that should be more common, but failed to find their niche within the region. The AUG, for example, was not well suited to Tarkov when it first arrived. High horizontal recoil hindered this creature's ability to hunt, making it difficult for them to survive. That being said, it has adapted lower horizontal recoil and is beginning to find its niche within the region. This greater physical fitness just might provide the necessary edge that the AUG was missing. The species has a difficult road ahead and must overcome its low numbers for it to truly prosper in these lands. No, a true example of a species in decline is the UMP user. They are aggressive, merciless, and munch through low-tier armors with ease. All this means they are perfectly adapted to the early white period where they tear through the carapace of other low-tier PMCs. That being said, the 45 AP mutation has nearly disappeared from their ranks. This ammo was necessary for these organisms to thrive in the late wipe, and without it, their numbers begin to fade as better armor becomes more common. As a result, they remain a common sight during the early period, but are quickly outcompeted as more powerful creatures mature. A prime example of an endangered species is the MCX. The MCX was never a common species. However, the numerous changes to ammo availability and recoil hampered it even more. Its numbers only stooped further, a change that it could hardly afford when its populations were so small to begin with. They are exceptionally dangerous up close, but tend to struggle at range unless heavily modded. This close-range niche unfortunately fails to provide a significant advantage over the M4. The M4 creatures are generalists, and remain effective at ranges far greater than the MCX user can hope to match. As a result, the MCX is less fit and has been outcompeted in most aspects by its cousins. Some hope does remain. Once again, recoil shifts have swept across most organisms, and the MCX user may have a chance to bounce back. Such an occurrence is not unheard of, and has happened very recently. The AS Val and VSS specimens were once rapidly approaching extinction. Long ago, they were among the apex predators of Tarkov. They dominated the halls of labs and remained a potent threat everywhere else. Then the nerfs came. Massive changes repeatedly slammed these organisms further and further into obscurity. They could not compete due to high recoil and exorbitant costs. Then, their recoil was suddenly reduced back to normal levels. Thus, their numbers began to grow again. The amount of resources necessary to sustain a Val user remains too high for their populations to return to pre-nerf numbers. However, it is a start at a second chance for this species. Then there are those that are nearing extinction. The most recent creatures to be added to this category are the VPO-101 and RFB. The VPO-101 was once the most common rat in Tarkov. It wielded a capacity to kill Uberchads with greater efficiency than many of its rat brethren. M61, M62, and even M80 were more than capable of punching through the tough armors that other rat specimens would have been stumped by. Then the RFB creatures were introduced. Their low resource cost, greater versatility, and consistency provided a far greater fitness than the VPO-101 creatures. The VPO-101 was quickly outcompeted and has been headed for extinction ever since. The final nail in the coffin came when high-tier ammo mutations became scarce. As such, the creature was forced to use BCP FMJ. A round that paled in comparison. Often, it is deflected by armors and helmets, depriving the rat of its prey. Ironically, the RFB that had just destroyed the VPO-101 populations soon joined its predecessor in nearing extinction. The new scarcity of high-pen ammo, particularly the M80 ammo mutation, utterly decimated the RFB populations. They went from the most common creature of the mid-wipe to an endangered species almost overnight. The AK-103 is a more interesting case, as it is quite an effective hunter. It requires low amounts of resources for sustenance, has access to solid ammo early on, and has consistent recoil and damage. Once upon a time, it was the apex of the 7.62 AK users, and posed a grave threat to every creature it came across. So what has caused the decline of a creature that seemingly lacks defects? Well, the specimen owes its near extinction status to a single item. The 308 muzzle adapter is an adaptation employed by the AKM but is inaccessible to the AK-103 specimens. As a result, they have simply been outperformed by their cousins, and since then, their populations have inched ever closer to zero. It can be said that all SMG specimens employing 9mm ammo are now endangered. Some are simply too stupid to continue living. But most are hampered by ammo scarcity. No example is more apparent than the fate of the MPX users. These creatures once lay among the greatest hunters within these borders. Their capabilities to spray down enemies with reckless abandon were unmatched. Low recoil and lots of ammo gave them a strong edge. Now, the strange recoil makes these long sprays ineffective, immediately cutting any medium to long range capabilities they may have had. They scarcely have ammo that can consistently penetrate even mid-tier armors. Until the recoil is reduced and the PvP round becomes more widely available, the glory days of the MPX will only be relived in the memories of those who witnessed them. These are just a few examples of Tarkov's endangered species at this point in time. In the future, they may recover, or they may continue to struggle to simply exist. Tarkov is a land where change is constant, and other organisms may inhabit the endangered list as time goes on. As with many things, only time will tell the fate of these creatures and all others that call this land home.